what's the situation of carpet culture in the 21st century and what's the status. So the status is right now in carpet culture, the development is to a level which it has never seen because of this new era, because of a lot of influence of digital thing, like for example, Instagram, websites are there. Now people are connecting to this culture from different parts of the world. One of the prime economic provider for Afghanistan is carpets. In Iran, there is a time when, for example, when the markets are crashing, government sell their carpets from their treasury to have impact, to negotiate the impact of the market in itself. The respect has grown more with the people with the original craft. We have sellers a lot. We have a lot of sellers. For example, the new generation is interested to sell the carpet, is interested to do a lot of things with the carpet. We'll sell it like this, we'll sell it like that. But there's a very lack of idea or a lack of interest for the weaving itself. They are not going back to the basics. They are just trying to utilize the profit. They are not trying to go to the depths and to preserve this. That's the difficulty that they're facing. This art basically is a huge thing to have knowledge about. And a bit, it's and bits, you should have knowledge about everything. So that will generate a lot of keen interest for this. And inshallah, it will create a huge market for this craft coming across. It will not let this craft to die.
We will move on to the question and answers. I'm going to unmute Mr. Shmuel. Mr. Shmuel, kindly unmute yourself.
Okay, thank you very much. Very interesting and insightful presentation. And I want to ask you what situation with carpet culture today in 21st century. What situation with carpet culture today in different places along the Silk Road?
Thank you for your question, Mr. Shmuel. So, to my understanding, you want to know what's the situation of carpet culture in the 21st century and what's the status. So, the status is right now in carpet culture, the development is to a level which it has never seen because of this new era, because of a lot of influence of digital thing, like for example, Instagram, websites are there. Now people are connecting to this culture from different parts of the world. Earlier, the only mean to connect to this craft was basically trade routes. A trader used to bring this craft to their land, to the different lands. Then it used to get growth. Now it's basically anybody from any part of the world can buy a carpet. So that has influenced a lot with the culture. The culture is growing every day. In Afghanistan, one of the prime, as I said in my conversation, one of the prime economic provider for Afghanistan is carpets. If you can see, if it's an economic provider, it basically plays a lot of pivotal role in the country itself and in Iran as well. In Iran, there is a time when, for example, when the markets are crashing, government sell their carpets from their treasury to have impact, to negotiate the impact of the market in itself. So in economic factor, it plays a huge role. The carpet is growing every day. And with the coming of machine rugs, with the coming of artificial carpets, the influence has grown more because now people know what the original craft meant. And even though the price difference is a lot with the original craft and the artificial one, but the respect has grown more with the people with the original craft. So I hope this gives you the answer to your question.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Shwel.
I'm going to unmute Ms. Renu Parikh for the next question.
Yeah, good morning. So, and I take it reference to Persian carpets and Safavid is the same. Would that be a fair analogy?
Yeah. Persian carpets, basically Persian carpets, if you say Persian carpets in Islamic, Iran was never called as Persia. It was called Iran. And the people know Iranian carpets in India and across the world because of the term Persian carpets, as it is marketed a lot for the Iranian carpets. So if you go across anytime, if I show any person an Iranian carpet, they say, is it Persian? That's the case because the product is marketed a lot to the Western countries like US and UK by the name of Persian, then to the Iranian thing. So it basically is same.
Okay. And I've got a couple of questions. The first is, I mean, in the sketch that you showed on the single and double knots on the graph, no, that Turkey, I was not very clear because of both the clarity on the knots now was not very clear to me.
You can
To
see
the top
the
ones.
entry point in the first symmetrical knot with the part which is you can see like fingers, and that is basically an entry point and exit point. So you can
Okay.
see the entry point of both the things are different. They are
Hmm.
connecting two different threads into one, but the way of connection is different. So when you
Okay.
see the asymmetrical one, which is Persian, you can see the loop is in a different manner. And when you
Yeah.
see the symmetrical one of Turkish, the loop is in a. So, well, we are discussing this. Both of them have had a good part, as both are both are worthy of carrying it along the lot of time. So this basically does not have any impact on the age of the carpet. It's just one is a Turkish knot which was devised by the Turkmen tribes, a nomadic
Yeah.
across Central Asia, and the Persian was prevalent prior to that.
Okay.
So if you see both of them, the
Hmm.
difference is minute. But when you ever come across a Persian back of a Persian carpet and a
Yeah.
back of a Turkish carpet, you'll see the difference. And the difference is very much prevalent. And I cannot show it here because
Yeah.
even if I show it in the back, pictures of the back of the carpet, it won't give you the much. But when you see
Hmm.
anytime across, you can anytime go to any store nearby your store, you can ask to them, show me a Turkish carpet or Caucasian rugs. You will find Turkish knot, and you'll see the difference between that. And if you see a Persian knot, you'll find it. It's not much of a difference, but in carpet culture, it's a lot of a difference because the weavers who are making weaving in Persian knot, very few have an idea of Turkish knot because the fingers are working in a manner that is easier. So it takes a lot of time to calibrate to the other form of art. So both are different things.
Okay.
This understands gives you the idea of the thing that I wanted to explain.
And then this knot per that square inch, or that you put so many knots in one square inch,
Yes.
and then
So basically, the count will be same.
okay.
Nearly same. There's not much of
Okay.
a difference. So at the finest ones, we can say we have seen people weaving a 60 knots, 80
Yeah.
knots per square inch. That is basically can be attained only in silk carpets. You cannot attain in wool carpets. The finest wool carpets I have, one of the finest wool carpets I have it in my store. It was woven for the last of Afghanistan. It was for the Zahir Shah. So the weaver used to weave for the Zahir Shah's family. And I have the finest one, which is wool and wool. So when I'm saying wool and wool, the difficulty part, you cannot have wool and wool, and you have wool and wool as a carpet, or either you have a fine knotted carpet. Both are different things. You cannot have both in one task because wool in itself, the material is very thick. So you
Yeah.
can weave a fine weave carpet with wool. But there
Okay.
are some good examples of royal carpets whereby the artist went across to find the best, finest quality of wool and took a lot of efforts to make something which was basically an art for the royal palaces. So there are examples of such fine pieces, even in Iranian and Afghan artistry. But mostly, if you see the fine versions are in silk, and the thicker ones are always wool.
Okay. I think the next one you have taken care of and answered the other question. The other question is, how do you identify Samarkand Bukhara carpets? Because mostly what we are exposed in India is, silk, the ones which you talk of, Persian carpets and the Kashmir motifs and are more popular. So how do you identify the Samarkand
Let's
Bukhara?
give you a small interesting fact to the. I have given this interesting fact from past few days to a lot of people. So the Bukhara carpet, basically, when you say Bukhara carpet is Bukhara from the region itself, but the name is never Bukhara. It's Teke Turkman.
Okay.
It's called Teke Turkman only on the basis of the people of Turkman, the craft of Turkman. Teke is basically carpet or a textile that they say. And Turkmans are the weavers. So they say Teke Turkman, the weave of Turkmans. The word Bukhara had found its place in this art only when in India they started making those designs, replicating those designs in Amritsar and Gwalior. So when they started doing this Bukhara motifs or the Afghan motifs, they came up with this term Bukhara carpets to have a resemblance with the art, not with the culture, not with the legacy. It's just with the art itself because the designs, when we were seeing Amritsar, so it came out better as Amritsar Bukhara rugs. And the term Bukhara, the term when you say it was coined well, it was because at Amritsar, when the craftsmanship, started doing this design. Until now, they are doing it in Amritsar, and retrospectively in Pakistan version of Lahore as well, they are doing the same thing. So that's why they termed it Bukhara. And coming to Samarkand rugs, Bukharas and Samarkands are two different genres, both done by Turkmans. When you ever come across both of the rugs, you'll see there is two different themes, with the Samarkands being very thick with the wool and with the craft itself. The motifs you will also find different, because the geometrical motifs of Bukhara rugs is different to the floral and vast motifs of Samarkand. So these are two different craftsmanship, and the color schemes are also different. While you see a Bukhara carpet, you see a madder influenced and indigo influenced rug mostly. And when you see a Samarkand rug, they are more colorful, and you can see the motifs as well. So anytime you are Googling up, you can find the designs and motifs. Both of them are very different, vast, different things. While what was done in Samarkand was on the request of the nobles of Chinese, they were not doing it for the market itself. There was a huge demand by the Chinese at that time for that particular thing, and it was done by the Uyghur Muslims. You can hear their name once in a while in news. These people are still known across, and
Yeah.
these people were the originators of this craft. And the Turkmen people, which were doing in Bukhara, so it was not just in Bukhara, it was whole Central Asia, what they were doing. Bukhara was famous just because it was a great trading point, and that trading point they were selling their carpets. Because if they are in a vast different tribe, they cannot
Yeah.
sell in their tribe, sitting in their tribe, and they have to come to the market. So the market was Bukhara. That's
Okay.
the term was very much influenced, and that basically gave away the thing it should be a Bukhara carpets. That's the thing.
And very quickly on then again, rose motifs, because rose was very popular amongst the Mughals and even Safavids. So does that appear?
The most influenced part of the rose motif was basically it was there, but more than the rose, you will find in Safavi there are palmolate. There was a motif which was known as palmolate. It's a big flower like this, and there was a palm. It's like a palm, and it's
Okay.
across, the leaves are spread across. That
Hmm.
was started in Safavid. Prior to any other flower, you can go through it and Google it. You can see palmolate. And palmolate motif was the first heavy motif that basically influenced the floral motif. Then tinted twines were there, wines were there. A lot of things came, but palmolate was one of the bigger thing. And you will find more of cypress leaves in Afghanistan.
Yeah, that traveled even to the Mughals and everywhere.
So the only concept that I told you in my conversation, whatever you are seeing in Mughal is basically heavily influenced from the Iranian craft, Persian craft,
Yeah.
because Babur, when he was coming to India, he had a great support of Safavid ruler,
Yeah.
and same his son Humayun had. Same after that, all the generations till Aurangzeb. Aurangzeb also had a documented thing when he went to Iran to greet the new rulers, and Iranian rulers used to come to India to have some holidays or some sessions with Aurangzeb as such. So all these people had the Timurids. We cannot call them Mughal. The Timurids were basically had a great alliance with the Iranians at that time, and it carried on to a lot of other rulers as well.
Okay. And finally, what's the situation in Herat? It's still active in terms of crafts and art, because it was also production for, the musical instruments and everything. So
See, with the musical instruments, I can. My forte is not musical instruments, but I
no,
can.
I understand. But since you mentioned you're from Afghanistan, I couldn't resist a question.
The question with this question, I can tell you musical instruments in Afghanistan. There are a lot of places that can attribute to the musical instruments. We have Dambura, we have Rubab. Rubab is
Yeah.
famous. But we are one of the prime places that Rubab got its origins. So we have a lot of things, but over the span of time, because of different eras, because of different people coming and being a part of Afghanistan, ruling it, so it changed, and there's a lot of changes with the musical thing. Whenever there's a change in Islamic and non-Islamic governments, but Herat in itself is a very cultural place, and it holds a lot of cultures in itself. And whenever anytime if you ever have a chance to go to Herat, you'll find the Iranian culture more there as compared to Afghani culture, because those people
Oh,
share the borders with Iran.
yeah.
And if you ever come across a Herat carpet, which is done in, you'll find the motifs of Iranians more than Afghans, because they were heavily influenced. And as I said in my talk, that they used to be one of the very important players, workshops to supply to the Safavid courts. If you ever write Herat Rak, old Herat Rak, 16th century, you will find Safavids. And they are now in the museums. So one of the prime examples of the great craftsmanship of Safavid was being done in Herat.
Okay. The carpet weaving is also there still, or it's
As I said, we will not let any country across the world can, for example, in a span of time of 15, 30 years, they might let go of the carpet craft because of its declining. But in Afghanistan itself, it cannot decline because the people are just not letting it go. Because
no, that's excellent. But if you hold on to your and then you continue, but it's excellent.
so somebody has to hold on to it. And that
Yes. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
The next question is going to be from me. I would like to know what drew your interest towards studying carpets or to study carpet weaving history along the Silk Routes. What got you into it?
Thank you so much, Nishant bhai, for having this question. So the only thing that I am basically done my studies in India itself. I am a graduate of law. So whenever people see me, they are very much excited to know what my background is. My background was never this. My father started it just as a trade, just because Afghanistan didn't have much to trade at that time. We have dry fruits, we have carpets only. So my father started this as a trade, and eventually it became a livelihood. And then when it became a livelihood, for a long period of time, it was just a livelihood. I didn't have much care about. I just wanted to see carpets and just of it. But when growing up and I started to asking my father questions, ki, what is this, what is that? Every child has a curiosity in their mind. When they're seeing their father do some trade or something like such, they tend to ask questions, Papa, what is this? Father, this, what is this? So what questions I asked basically gave me a lot of introspect and a time to think about it. And when I did, prior to me graduating in my law, I had already had a good interest with the carpets, because anytime when you are into this thing, you see every day new products, you see new craft originating from different lands. And I sitting here, and prior to telling you or giving you a whole conversation about this, I myself, till now, I'm a student of this craft. I'm still learning because this craft is so vast. So if anywhere I am a bit gone or there's a bit of a mistake, so I'm still a learning process. I'm still studying this craft because no one can expertise this craft. Whenever you see somebody say, I'm an expert to this craft, they are still asking somebody else, let me know about this craft, because the thing is, you cannot be expert in all of the genres. And there are a lot of genres in carpet culture. And the good part about this being in the state, when I'm in the state, that basically gave me a good curiosity, only because when I'm seeing all this craft coming every day or another, I'm getting a huge point of knowledge. And when I also have a good influence of history as such. So when I combined both of them together, I found it more interesting, because with the carpets flow a lot of history. And just as I said, when you see history, they say this guy ruled here, this guy ruled there, this guy fought this guy fought that. But there is a history of craft as such, and that I wanted to decipher, and that basically led to the interest of the carpet thing. And right now I'm sitting in front of some good interested people talking about this.
Thank you, sir. I'd like to now unmute Mr. Salim Bey so that he can ask his question.
Yeah, thank you for inviting me for this very interesting and informative conversation. I have two questions about the marketing. You made a statement that the machine-made carpets have in fact helped in enhancing demand for the handmade carpets. Well, handmade carpets since 80s had two onslaughts. The first onslaught was not the machine-made carpet, was the raw material. Like silk was replaced by art silk, artificial silk, which is perhaps staple thread.
Yes.
Cost difference being huge, and for at least 5 years, I have a background in the carpets. I come from Kashmir from a marketing angle.
Yes.
And subsequently, 2-3 years' time, it was revealed that essentially, with all silk carpets are not silk carpets. There are silk carpets. The demand fell. In fact, in Germany, demand fell by 60% in the first 2 years. So that's one point I wanted to understand, how we make a statement that machine-made carpet has improved the sales of handmade carpet. One. Two, there's an observation that handmade carpets, better earnings were in bigger sizes. The bigger the size of the carpet, the better the return in terms of wage and demand. Over a period of many years, two things have happened. One is that the living spaces have reduced. Availability of living spaces in a normal European house, which was the biggest demand for carpets from Kashmir, as also from Iran and Afghanistan. Therefore, this demand for bigger sizes has fallen. Two is the price itself. Bigger size carpets have become very costly. Earlier on, it was part of the flooring, substantially part of the flooring is part of decoration now. The sizes have reduced, the demand has. Would you agree with these two contentions, Mr. Navid Hussain?
Thank you so much for your observation and thank you for providing me this intel. And then now I'd like to give you a whole introspect about this. When you talk about this art silk that have came into the market, it basically because in Kashmir craft, nothing to be disrespectful to the craft itself. With the Kashmir craft, a lot of differences, a lot of different techniques came. In Iran, you don't find silk on cotton. Very fewly you will find a workshop doing that. But in Kashmir, out of necessity of the craft, after the rising cost, they started doing silk cotton, which I have seen in a lot of places, it's not working. I have seen carpets, I have seen with people, I have a lot of customers in India that had bought silk carpets, silk cotton. They didn't know much about the craft itself, but because of a Kashmir seller or Kashmir store person has sold them, the thing is, it's a silk cotton. They didn't understand the factor of what is the difference between silk on silk, what is the difference between silk on cotton. On the point of price point, they found the silk cotton to be more interesting than the silk on silk. Now, when you see a lot of silk cottons in India, they are done. There's no pile on top of them. They are just a dari now, which is a flat weave. There's nothing to it. All because we have combined two arts, two materials which are never to be combined, which is does not help each other. Because cotton is a stiff and silk is a soft material. So at the span of time, it basically cotton kills particles of silk. And then coming to the art silk, yes, as I said, machine carpets right now they are nylon and polyester, and prior to this, because they were shortage of materials, so and costlier material as well. Iranian carpets are still on the verge; they are best silks, and they are still selling. While we have a contrary discussion in this, one we are having a discussion on the Indian craftsmanship, which is Kashmir with the silks. And when we can see the other image, which is Iranian silk, in Iran, both the workshops are flourishing when you see the machine workshop and the handmade workshop. Right now, Iran is one of the biggest players in silk carpets, one of the biggest, and they're silk on silks. There is no artificial silk, there is no nothing. When they are doing it the prime best. And even though they don't have to, but they do sign their rugs as well. If you can see a lot of Iranian silks have a signature on top, which shows the workmanship and the weaver's thing. So it gives a more trusted thing to the customers. And this is not something that they started now. This is from the times of the Safavids itself. A lot of royal carpets used to bear the name of the person who commissioned it and the artist itself. So there comes the part of reputation. Now in Kashmiri craft, because of the huge demand for the exports, they tend to have come to a very different thing. Let's try to go to this place. Let's to try to cut costs. That was the prime thing, to cut cost. And when they exported it to, as you said, in Germany, the demand fell. So what they were expecting in Germany was a silk on silk, original silk on silk. What they got was art silk, artificial silk. Now that basically reduced the demand. And plus, when I say ki machine carpets helped to grow the growth for the handmade carpets, it's just because when they see a machine carpets, they tend to realize what efforts has gone to the handmade carpets and why we should go to the handmade carpets. Because when you feel a silk carpet of machine, it damages a lot of nerves in your feet because it's nylon and polyester. And when you have woolen carpets under your feet, it relaxes you more. It doesn't impact on your health. That's the difference. So just because of the cost, people, if they are buying machine rugs, okay. But I have seen from the past 20 years, the demand of the handmade carpets of Iran and Afghanistan. I'm not speaking about the Indian craft because Indian craft is mostly influenced for the exports. In India itself, you will find a very less demand for the Badoi carpets, while you have a huge demand in outside in US and UK. Why? Because the cost factor is a lot. While in US and UK, the Afghan and Persian tend to be too costly for them. They prefer woolen carpet of Badoi over an Afghan and Iranian one. So it's just a factor of cost itself. Nothing else is there. The trade is blooming. The craft is evolving. And if you can see now, they are doing a lot of Iranian motifs in Badoi itself. With the vintage fading they do, it looks like an old carpet, but it's a new. They are doing a lot of things for for the people, and they're trying to evolve this as much as possible. But the only thing that you come now, the next part comes with the cost. I hope I remember the question well. The cost wise, Afghani and Irani, you said the bigger sizes used to be one of the very impactful thing. They have a lot of profit margins in that I can tell. And it takes a lot of patience to make a bigger carpet because you are taking a lot of workers in work because every 1 meter, you are having one workman working on a loom. So while the bigger the carpet gets, the bigger the forces you have to put on that particular loom to make that carpet. So the cost comes as well. Now, coming to the new era, when you see the houses are shrinking, the bungalows are coming to apartments, the changes are there. But when I see people trying to do different things as well, as earlier it used to be in a one bedroom, one carpet in front of the bed usually was preferred. Now I have seen with a lot of my own customers, they want to have half and half. A big carpet is put in the bedroom, which half of it's basically covered in the bed itself, but they tend to like that aesthetics. It's just a matter of opinion. We are selling bigger carpets. We are having a good demand of bigger carpets as well. Biggest of palace size also. Palace size carpets we have in demand. But it's just that we are comparing two different crafts right now. One, we are comparing an Iranian and Afghani thing with the Indian craftsmanship. Yes, in the Indian craftsmanship, the bigger carpet demand have declined, all because of the trade practices, nothing else. With Kashmiri craft, if I, for example, all respect to all the people who are there doing this craft, promoting this craft. When I have went to the stores in the Indian cities, I do, whenever I'm visiting some city, I'm going through the different stores. I tend to see people having a machine craftsmanship along with the handmade craftsmanship. This basically declines the whole craft in itself. You cannot have two different value of stuff in one store, and then most of them tend to say it's a handmade. It's a committing a fraud to the craft in itself. And right now there are a lot of articles, a lot of situations, a lot of cases that are registered in Kashmir, all because of the part is that the people tend to benefit from the customers only on the basis there is no knowledge about it. Me sitting here is just not for the conversation of the part of the Silk Route. One of the pointers of me sitting here is just to give you an overview of what the craft they are observing over in the market. So just to give you an alert to a lot of people that they are observing, that they are listening right now to me, whenever you are going to any store, whenever you are buying anything of carpets, any store across India, any across world, anything you are buying, just let them know, give you a particular certification or a particular example or bill about it, it's a handmade rug. Because at the end of the day, whenever you are buying the handmade rug or something of original craft, it's valued higher than the machine craft. So you should not pay for the machine craft just because somebody has said it's a handmade. You should inspect, you should ask questions, you should know what it is, why it's handmade, why it's difference of machine and handmade is there. So this question should be there in the market. So all across the difference that has come over the span of time, introduction of different craft has come, introduction of different techniques have come, cost reduction is there. But at the end of the day, when you come to Afghanistan, when you come to Iran, there are separate markets of all of this. They are not put together. In Iranian stores you go, you will never see machine and handmade together. In Afghanistan, we still don't have a machine carpets factory. We are still doing the handmade ones. So it's just a thing of your idea, thing of your own self, how you want to portray this. I hope this answers your question, Mr. Sali.
I have two small observations to make and a question. One is that having worked lifetime in crafts,
Yes.
malpractices are part of trade practices in all crafts, including carpet crafts.
Yes.
It happens there, and I agree with you. The customer has to be, as they say, mushtari hushar bash. You have to know as a customer what is
Yes.
right and what is not. The second thing I wanted to ask you, in Kashmir, we have introduced a quality certification mark,
Yeah.
which is
Yeah,
internationally
exactly.
validated.
Yeah,
It can be checked anytime, anywhere.
now they are doing.
And the certification process is there, quite elaborate. And as of now, hardly any complaint that it has been a counterfeit. Is there a similar kind of a thing in Afghanistan and Iran?
Sir, the only thing that I'm right now telling you, in Afghanistan and Iran, we have separated the craft in itself. If you see a machine carpets, the machine craftsmanship, whoever workshop is selling the machine craftsmanship, in the back of the carpet, they always have a sticker. How many reeds it is, size it is, what material it is, they always put it. In handmade carpets, they don't have to, because whoever is visiting those lands, they know the difference of the handmade and the machine ones. Coming to India, why this GI tag was introduced? As you have mentioned, you have a huge legacy with this craft and you have a great interest with this. You have taken a lot of time, spared a lot of your time in this craft with the over the span of time. The idea of GI tag or the importance of GI tag was not just because they wanted to promote Kashmiri carpets as a GI tag itself, because a lot of cases were coming across from the city itself.
It's a quality mark. I agree. It's a quality mark.
Last year,
That is the quality.
Last year, two cases were registered. Heavy cases were a lot of inspections were being done all across India because the malpractices were going to a different level. And when you are into this trade, because I hope you are into the manufacturing thing, you have been into manufacturing, but I come as a seller, very less in the manufacturing. I have some manufacturing workshop that are doing particular some designs and motifs on my end, but
Well, I come from a government background. We introduced this quality mark
yes.
exactly for this, but that it's a customer driven. Customer should not be cheated.
So as I
So
said,
the mark is only the customer mark.
the GI tag idea came only because the malpractices were on the peak. Every store had 4 pieces of handmade in the front and 50 pieces of machine in the back. They even used to change the tassels. Now I think I've given you the fair answer. Ki like they change the tassels, they change the sides, they give it a Kashmir wash, and becomes like a Kashmir silk. Sir, I've seen all the
What
great
about the
practices.
logistics of Afghanistan? Now that, as you have mentioned, the carpet exports are booming.
Yeah.
How are the logistics supporting the export because of the sanctions,
See, there is no
banking,
sanctions. No, we don't have any.
banking,
We have banking
banking
sanctions. We have
processes?
banking sanctions, but only thing we don't have any logistic sanctions. Right now,
Okay,
my product is coming to India. My banking, my
okay.
money, I am sending money to Afghanistan to the banking.
So
Everything
there
is
are no issues.
no, no,
Same
no.
with America and Europe?
Yeah, it is coming to American banks are intermediary. Now, what can I
Okay,
say more? American banks are trusting it. The money is flowing through America. It's not directly going to Afghanistan. It's directly going to intermediary, and through intermediary, it's going to the Afghan banking channels. From Afghanistan, you cannot send money to a different countries. Well, for the
okay,
as such, you have to go
okay.
third party. But whenever we are buying, importing anything from Afghanistan, we can be we are eligible to send the money back because everything is open. Routes are open, banking is open. There is no any difficulty with the customs. And
Okay, okay.
as you have mentioned, ki, what if the certification with carpets of Afghanistan, whether they are handmade or not? In Afghanistan, we don't have machine. So when you don't have the other form of craft, it's very easier to decipher that craft itself.
Okay,
So
thank you. Thank you for this elaborate reply. Thank you.
thank you so much. Thank you so
I
much,
don't
Salim.
want to
Thank you
prolong
so
the
much, Salim
discussion.
sir, for joining us.
Thank you, Salim.
Thank you, Salim sir, for joining us.
Thank you.
Sir, I'd like to ask, what are the major challenges traditional carpet weavers face in preserving this ancient craft and taking it forward, evolving it?
One of the only reason that there are a lot of reasons, but the most important thing is the decline in the new generation to carry it forward.
Just like any other
That is
endangered art craft.
prime reason. And
Amazing.
that's why alternates on. That's why different techniques are being done. There was like 20 years ago, 30 years ago, there was no mention of hand tufted. There was not something like hand tufted, but it is now emerging. It is growing as such. It's an easier way of making a carpet, but it doesn't have a life in itself for a long period of time. Then a lot of other things are coming as a technique, that the machine weaving that I said. It's a easier task. In a span of some time, you can have a bigger and bigger sizes because a machine carpet has a width of 12 feet and then as long as you can make a carpet. So it's a very easy task for them. All of this is only on the backing of there is no growth in the interest of the new weavers. New generations are not showing interest. That's why the demand is basically catered by artificial thing or an alternative thing. That is the great difficulty that they are facing, but it differs land to land. In Turkey, one example that I have to give, there is in Turkey, there used to be a very prime, Turkey used to be a very good example of silk carpets. They had better silk carpets to an extent to an Iranian carpets. But over the span of time, due to the decline of the production, due to the decline of the interest of the people of Turkish new weavers, the whole concept shifted to China. Now, China has trademarked to the Herike name. Now, it's a very interesting thing. Herike was introduced to the world by Turkish, but the trademark is now attained by Chinese people. Now, in China, you will find the weavers weaving the Turkish silk and then it's shipped back to Turkey and it's sold in different bazaars by the name of Hereke. They do signature it as Hereke in Arabic and Persian text, but it is made in China. So that is the difference now you are seeing because of the lack of what you call the introduction of new weavers. We have sellers a lot. We have a lot of sellers. For example, the new generation is interested to sell the carpet, is interested to do a lot of things with the carpet. Ki, we'll sell it like this, we'll sell it like that. But there's a very lack of idea or a lack of interest for the weaving itself. They are not going back to the basics. They are just trying to utilize the profit. They are not trying to go to the depths and to preserve this. That's the difficulty that they're facing.
Thank you for the answer, sir. So I would also like to know if there are any centers dedicated towards learning and evolving this art form. Also, maybe if there are some renowned artists who have influenced the movement a lot.
See, it's a great question because in Iranian circle, all different parts of the world have a different kind of a way to preserve it. In Afghanistan, we have government workshops which are teaching it.
Amazing.
We have private workshops which are teaching this craft because privates need new weavers, and new weavers is basically how they get when they're teaching it. In India itself, a lot of efforts are being done to preserve this craft with the new workshops, government authorized workshop, because the challenge is to preserve it, just not to let it go. In Iran, there are a lot of master weavers. They have their own workshop, which is being run from centuries and decades, and they have a huge impact. When I say ki in Afghanistan, we have very less weavers that had the chance to sign their rugs because that the idea was not there in Afghanistan. We were basically weaving carpets. We were not trying to have a legacy. The weavers were not trying to have a legacy. One of the biggest legacy maker was Mr. Khal Mohammed. Khal Mohammed was a known personality in across, and he had won a lot of accolades with his design. And he had 12, 15 designs when he started, and that designs basically won a lot of accolades across the carpet culture. But in Iran, there's not one example. There's hundreds of examples. All the cities have different weavers that are
Nice.
in Isfahan. One of the biggest, if I say one of the most famous and one of the most cherished one, which always holds its value. Because the carpets, at the end of the day, if you have a reputation, your carpet shall hold its value and it shall be increasing. It should not be decreasing. One of the great names is the House of Serafian. So a lot of people who are listening to this and have a bit of a knowledge about the House of Serafian. House of Serafian was is right now one of the biggest impact makers with the craft. And their family signature, their carpet signatures are replicated a lot as well. Now think about the legacy that you have, whereby they have to replicate your signature. And there are experts, not about the carpet itself. There are experts of deciphering the signature itself. Is this signature originality is from the House of Serafian or it's not? And there are certain more examples. For example, near to the city of Isfahan, there is this carpet center of Nain. There is a huge impact name. It's called by the name of Habibian. Habibian is one of the prime examples of Nain. Then in Tabriz, we have a lot of weavers that were basically royal weavers, and a lot of workshop usually woven for knotted carpets for the royal court itself. I had a chance to have this Kulinami, the carpet of his. Kulinami is one of the first generation. I even have that son's carpet as well. They are pioneers of showcasing the cultural carpets of Iran. One of the designs is called Zir Khaki, which shows the motives like vases, dragons, Seymour's phoenix, like that motifs, historical motifs of Iran, they showcases in their art itself till now. So that is basically a different focal point. All the cities in Iran have a very higher craftsmen or a weaver centers that are still their names are recognized. They are still the carpet is sold by the name itself, by the person's signature itself. So this is basically a very next level of info that you have to have interest to go and find it. Because carpet in itself, the basic and primary info is just the carpet. You can learn about it, how the carpet is woven and what's the designs that are important, cities that are making it. But this is the next level. If you have more excitement about this, when you go and see it, you'll find there are very famous weaving centers that are still now there, and they have a huge command upon the market itself.
Industry.
They are the trendsetters. That's the thing. Anybody who needs to have a conversation furthermore with us or need to have a contact details, they can follow us on Instagram. Insta page is HS Rux. They can find us on Insta, and from there they can have any conversation furthermore. Let's not restrict this to this session. If anybody has any questions, they can come forward and they can text us on Instagram, and then we can have furthermore. Thank you so much for such a for providing me this platform to just give a bit of a knowledge that I have. And I hope I have not given anything wrong. If I'm wrong, then I apologize for that, because not everybody can attain the whole knowledge. There's a whole world to attain. So with that remark, I'll just like to conclude ki like this craft needs interest, and if you are not buying it, no worry. If you are not adding it in your home, no issues. Just have an understanding of this, because this art basically is a huge thing to have knowledge about. And a bit, it's and bits, you should have knowledge about everything. So that will generate a lot of keen interest for this. And inshallah, it will create a huge market for this craft coming across. It will not let this craft to die. So I hope this session was informative for everybody. And I hope to see across this thing over the other channels as well. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for WishwaTalks to having me here. And I hope you have a great time.
Thank you, sir.